Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that came out on CNN February 11th, 2018. And this goes over all of the people that entered Trump's administration with domestic violence in their background, and also staff members that have not even received a full security clearance, including his own son in law. I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Now, this video is over an hour long, but I'm not going to play that much. I'm only going to play about 10 minutes. Here we go.
Employees from pervasive sexual harassment, intimidation, and discrimination. These allegations against Harvey Weinstein marked the unofficial start of the Me Too movement, a movement the president has challenged this week. And now, separately, we are also learning more from one woman tonight, the ex-wife of a disgraced former White House staffer taking on the president of the United States. She says Donald Trump is calling her a liar, and she's not standing for it. I'm talking about Jenny Willoughby. She was married to Rob Porter, who quit his job in the White House this past week, chased out by allegations that he violently abused her and another ex-wife, again Willoughby, and another woman. After Porter's resignation, the president praised him, wished him well, and took to Twitter with, quote, "People's lives are being shattered and destroyed by a mere allegation." And that's the part that has Jenny Willoughby, Porter's ex-wife, unable to stay quiet. The president saying that her story is not true. Willoughby wrote a piece for Time magazine today, and I'm going to read some of it for you now. She writes, "The words mere allegation and falsely accused meant to imply that I am a liar, that Colby Holderness is a liar, that the work Rob was doing in the White House was of higher value than our mental, emotional, or physical well-being, that his professional contributions are worth more than the truth, that abuse is something to be questioned and doubted." She goes on, "Everyone wants to talk about how Trump implied I am not to be believed, as if Trump is the model of kindness and forgiveness, as if he readily acknowledges his own shortcomings and shows empathy and concern for others. I forgive him. Thankfully, my strength and worth are not dependent on outside belief. The truth exists, whether the president accepts it or not." Now, Willoughby also references the other accusations by women against powerful men, not only in politics, but entertainment. She continues, "Amidst the recent rash of sexual assault revelations born of the Me Too movement, even I found myself questioning the accuser. I almost allowed my societal conditioning to override what my heart knows to be true. Abuse is scary and demoralizing and degrading. It chisels away at your self-esteem and self-worth until you are unsure whether your version of reality is valid or not. Ultimately, this is not a political issue. This is a societal issue, and the tone has just been reset by the White House. If the most powerful people in the nation do not believe my story of abuse in the face of overwhelming evidence, then what hope do others have of being heard?" What I just read to you was not the entire Time magazine piece by Jenny Willoughby. Let's go now to CNN correspondent Ryan Nobles at the White House. Ryan, is this the fight that the Oval Office is prepared to handle right now?
Well, I'm going to just go by how they've responded up until this point. The answer would be no. And I think this op-ed by Jenny Willoughby, this powerful op-ed in Time, is an indication that this controversy for the White House isn't going away anytime soon, and in part because of the two big issues that Jenny Willoughby raises with this administration, and it's part of this big criticism that they've been dealing with over this past week. The first part being, what did they know about these accusations against Rob Porter, and why did it take them so long to act? And then in the wake of these revelations, why are they talking so much about Porter's due process as it relates to his job in the White House? And today, a myriad of White House administration officials were on the Sunday talk shows trying to explain their perspective on those 2 points. Here's just a sampling of what they had to say.
"I spoke to the president last night. I told him I'd be with you today, and he said, please tell Jake that I have full faith in Chief of Staff John Kelly and that I'm not actively searching for replacements." He said, "I saw that all over the news today. I have faith in him."
I think there was probably some, in the process, some lack of communication between different elements in the White House. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know who knew what when at this point.
And I think all the stories about replacing General Kelly are mostly being fed by people who are unhappy that they've lost access to the president under General Kelly's leadership as chief of staff. So, no, I'm extraordinarily pleased with the job the chief has been doing. Everybody in the West Wing is. The president is as well. I think that talk about the chief's departure is much ado about nothing.
And there are questions about John Kelly's future in the White House, specifically because there doesn't seem to be a lot of clarity as to how he personally responded when he learned about these accusations against Rob Porter. At one point, he said that he actually confronted Porter directly about whether or not violence was a part of these stormy relationships that he had with his two ex-wives, and Porter pushed back and said that it wasn't. It wasn't until he saw the photo, Kelly and his aides are saying, when he decided it was time to act, and when that happened, Porter was quickly removed from his position. Anna?
And Ryan, we know there are a number of Democratic senators who have written letters now to the White House demanding more answers on how all this played out. Thank you very much, Ryan Nobles at the White House. The allegations against Rob Porter are disturbing if true, but perhaps not a surprise to the White House. At a time when there is an important national conversation about harassment and abuse, the claims against Porter draw attention to other allegations that have been made against Trump associates and even the president himself. CNN's Randy Kay has more on that.
In 2016, in Jupiter, Florida, following then-candidate Donald Trump's press conference, a bizarre altercation caught on tape.
I can't believe he just did that. That was so hard. Oh my, was that Corey?
That's then Breitbart reporter Michelle Fields, claiming Trump's campaign manager at the time, Corey Lewandowski, had grabbed her tightly by the arm and yanked her down. Lewandowski denied it ever happened, calling the reporter delusional on Twitter. Despite several angles of videos showing the incident, then-candidate Trump also insisted the reporter fabricated the whole ordeal.
Everybody said nothing happened. Perhaps you made the story up. I think that's what happened, okay?
In the end, Jupiter, Florida police charged Lewandowski with simple battery, a misdemeanor, but those charges were later dropped. Trump's pick for Labor Secretary, Andy Puzder, withdrew his name in part after claims of spousal abuse came to light. The fast food executive's ex-wife had aired the couple's dirty laundry on the Oprah Winfrey Show while in disguise.
Once I made that break and once I made it public, and remember my ex-husband was a public figure. Everyone knew him and knew what he was doing. And once I made that public, he vowed revenge. He said, I will see you in the gutter. This will never be over. You will pay for this.
Later, Puzder's wife sent a letter to the senators, calling her ex-husband a kind man, saying he was not abusive. Mr. Puzder denied it all. The man Trump chose to be his chief strategist, Steve Bannon, also once faced charges for misdemeanor domestic violence, as Politico first reported. A Santa Monica, California police report from January 1996 detailed an altercation between Bannon and his then-spouse that left her with red marks on her left wrist and the right side of her neck. The report also said the woman complained of soreness to her neck. The responding police officer described the woman's eyes as red and watery, saying she appeared to have been crying. A spokesperson for Bannon told Politico that Bannon had a great relationship with both his ex-wife and their twin daughters. The case was later dismissed. And the president himself had also once faced accusations of domestic abuse. His first wife, Ivana, alleged in a divorce deposition that Donald Trump had raped her back in 1989. The accusation was first revealed in a 1993 book about Trump, written by a former Newsweek reporter. Just before publication, Ivana composed a statement for the book saying, I felt violated as the love and tenderness which he normally exhibited towards me was absent. I referred to this as a rape, but I do not want my words to be interpreted in a literal or criminal sense. After Trump announced his run for the White House, Ivana said, the story is totally without merit. Donald and I are the best of friends. Donald Trump has always denied the allegations. Randy Kay, CNN, New York.
Democratic senators are now demanding answers from the White House about Rob Porter's time there. 12 lawmakers have sent a letter to Chief of Staff John Kelly and White House counsel Don McGahn. They want to know if the men were aware of the specific allegations against Porter, whether Porter disclosed them on his application for a security clearance, and whether Porter was ever denied a security clearance. Joining me now to talk more about these questions, Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu of California. Congressman, good to see you. Why is it so important to get answers to these questions?
Thank you, Anna, for your question. Let me first say, I believe the President of the United States needs to apologize for suggesting that people who come forward about domestic violence, including Porter's ex-wives, are not telling the truth. That's exactly the reason more victims don't come forward. In the case of Porter itself, we need to know if Chief of Staff John Kelly knew about these allegations and continued to defend Porter and praise him. Not only would that show morally bad judgment, but it would affect his security clearance, and then that's a national security issue.
Do you have other questions in addition to the ones I just read?
Yes, so I wrote a letter with other members of Congress last week asking John Kelly what he knew when. And keep in mind, the reason we have security clearances is to prevent blackmail. So imagine if last year a foreign power came to Rob Porter and said, we have photos of your ex-wife after you assaulted her. We want you to help us do certain things. What would Rob Porter do? We don't know, but no White House official should ever be placed into that kind of position.
And CNN's reporting is that Porter was having trouble obtaining a security clearance because of these allegations against him. We're also reporting that between 30 to 40 other White House staffers still don't have full security clearances. Are you aware